Hey YouTube, Kiratwig here, bringing you all an update to my Fairy Tale Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for March 2024. Wanted to do an update to the deck used by Leon von Schroeder from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime series, who's a big fan of the Fairy Tale monsters. So, with it, he devised the deck around all the different fairy tales, including Cinderella, the evil wicked witch, and even using his main spell as the catalyst for how the whole deck is played, the Golden Castle of Stromberg. We got some of the reprinted cards in the Battles of Legend Chapter 1, so making them more available for the deck, while some of the older cards like Prinzessin still, remain without reprints. Wanted to give an update for this pretty fun banished, archetype of a deck. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. We run 3 copies of Prinzessin. If it's normal or special summon, you can special summon 1 Pumpkin Carriage from your hand to deck. Then if Golden Castle of Stromberg is in the field zone, you can equip 1 Glass Slippers from your deck to this card. You can only use each effect of Prinzessin once per turn. When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent by a direct attack, you can target 1 Glass Slippers, equip to this card, and 1 face-up monster on the field. Equip the Glass Slippers to that target. So then you gain the additional effects of when Glass Slippers is equipped on to that other monster, utilizing your Prinzessin, but also just being able to search out 2 cards with this combo means you also get the Pumpkin Carriage, which allows your Prinzessin to attack directly. Our other 3 ofs include 3 copies of Glyph the Phantom Bird. You can discard this card to add 1 Golden Castle of Stromberg from your deck to your hand. Then, if this card's normal or special summon, you can target 1 spell or trap card in your opponent's spell and trap card zone, destroy it. You can only use each effect of Glyph the Phantom Bird once per turn. So you either have your Golden Castle of Stromberg search or just a destruction play if you already have the field spell and just feel like normal or special summon this card. This card can also be summoned off of Golden Castle of Stromberg, giving you that destruction if need be of one of your opponent's spell or traps. The last of our 3 ofs include 3, actually, there's 1 more. My mistake there. 1 more 3 of after Hextrude, which we also run 3 copies. I run 3 copies of these because you have the banish risk with the cost for Golden Castle Stromberg. So we have 3 Hextrude. If Golden Castle Stromberg is in the field zone, you can normal summon this card without attributing. Once per turn, if Golden Castle Stromberg is in the field zone, you can target 1 card on the field, except this one, and destroy it. If you do, this card can make up to 2 attack on monsters during each battle phase this turn. And when this card destroys a monster by battle, you can target 1 face-up monster you control, and it gains 400 attack. So having that additional attack boost for its 2 attacks, but on top of that, also being able to just utilize the destruction play and being able to just special summon this card off of Golden Castle of Stromberg to begin with, just being able to meet the banish cost, and then special summon 1 monster from your deck that lists Golden Castle of Stromberg in its card text, which all the monsters beforehand have done so along with Hextrude. And now the last of the 3 ofs that we run is the 3 copies of Iron Hans. We're going for more of the pure build for the Fairy Tale deck. So if this card's summoned, you can special summon 1 Iron Knight from your deck. Also, if Golden Castle of Stromberg is not in the field zone, when this effect resolves, you cannot special summon monsters from the X deck for the rest of this turn. You can use this effect of Iron Hans once per turn. It gains 1,000 attack for each Iron Knight you control, and while Golden Castle of Stromberg is in the field zone. So you use this card along with Iron Knight to at least have options for your extra deck plays. You have to have Golden Castle of Stromberg obviously to do so, but still, it's a pretty good setup with our Iron Knight also being a level 4 monster, which we run 2 copies of. I know you have the attack boost with Iron Hans, but the more Iron Knights you have, the stronger it gets, but we're going to mostly use it for an extra deck play if we can to begin with. It loses 1,000 attack while you control Iron Hans, so it kind of evens out as well with the additional power that it gives to Iron Hans. And then if this card on the field is destroyed by battle or sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can add 1 Iron Hans from your deck to your hand, or if Golden Castle Stromberg is in the field zone, you can add 1 Warrior monster from your deck to your hand instead. So this generic Warrior search will mostly just play to grab the Iron Hans since we're going for the generic setup in the deck to begin with the other 2 ofs being the 2 copies of Pumpkin Carriage. Prinzessin you control can attack directly. Your opponent cannot target Golden Castle Strawberry you control with card effects. Also cannot be destroyed by card effects. So this is just a way to protect your field spell. And if your opponent were to try and attack your monsters, they'll face the consequences of Golden Castle Stromberg to begin with. So double protection through both of those means. For the non-Fairy Tale related cards, 3 copies of Necroface. If this card's normal summon, shuffle all banished cards into the deck. It gains 100 attack for each card shuffled into the main deck by this effect. And if this card's banished, each player can banish 5 cards from the top of their deck for their entire deck if less than 5. So the main play here is to shuffle back and recycle the cards banished by Golden Castle Stromberg while giving you a pretty big attack boost off of Necroface as well. If you had 20 cards, that's a 3,200 attack point monster that you summon just with a normal summon on the field while being able to at least keep the Golden Castle Stromberg going as well. and also 2 copies of Gren Maju. It gains 400 attack and defense for the number of banished cards that you have. So with 10, that is 4,000 right there. So it could be another great normal summon play to utilize with Golden Castle Stromberg's banish play. Moving on now to the spells. We talked about this spell enough, but it is one of the most important cards in the deck, and that is Golden Castle Stromberg. Once per turn during your standby phase, you must banish 10 cards from the top of your deck face down. This is not optional, or this card is destroyed. During your main phase, you can special summon 1 monster from your deck that specifically lists Golden Castle Stromberg and its text. You cannot normal summon or set the turn you activate this effect, even if this card leaves the field. You can only use the effect of Golden Castle Stromberg once per turn, and when opponent's monster declares an attack, destroy the attacking monster and inflict damage to your opponent equal to half the attack of that monster. So this is what protects your other fairy tale monsters on the field, because if your opponent were to try and attack into them, the Golden Castle Stromberg would protect them by destroying that opponent's monster. It does take out of your normal summon play, but if you have the special summon the following turn, then the next turn after your banish 10, you can use the summon of that additional monster and just have the risk of not being able to use the special summon of Golden Castle Stromberg. You have access to all the different fairy tale monsters, so it comes down to what you want to use in the deck also. Also, 3 copies of Iron Cage. When it's activated, send 1 monster you control to the graveyard. If Golden Castle Stromberg is in the field zone, you can send 1 monster your opponent controls to the graveyard instead. And once per turn during your standby phase, you can target the monster that was sent to the graveyard by this card effect, destroy this card, and special summon that monster to your field. So this can give you your opponent's cards if you have Golden Castle Stromberg, which with this deck you're going to want to have on the field to begin with, and then just a way to take out an opponent's monster, and then the following turn set it up on your field. Also, 2 copies of Glass Slippers. This is the card we set up with Princessin, running 2 just in case we do end up banishing 1 off of Golden Castle Stromberg before we can recycle it with Necroface. If it's equipped to a fairy monster, it gains 1,000 attack. If this card's equipped to a non-fairy monster, it cannot attack. Also, it loses 1,000 attack. If it's sent to the graveyard because the equipped monster is destroyed, you can target a Princessin you control and equip this card to it. So this is meant to then, when you equip it onto your opponent's monster, stop them from attacking and lowering their own attack, so you can attack over it with your own monsters, and then also just give the additional boost to the Princessin that can attack directly. We also run 2 copies of Gingerbread House. With this continuous spell during your opponent's standby phase, you can have as many monsters they control as possible, gain 600 attack, then destroy as many monsters they control as possible with 2,500 or more attack. If you do, gain life points equal to the number of monsters destroyed times 500. The attack gain remains even if this card leaves the field. So this is just more of a way of how the Gingerbread House plays, filling up your opponent's monsters with more and more candy until they explode, basically like the story of Hansel and Gretel. So 2 additional copies is just a fun tech to run in the deck. If you didn't want to run this card, you can always put in Eater of Millions. It's just another optional banish monster setup to use with the other cards in the deck. Also, 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity with the additional banish and search that this card can do, because the big play is we have to get Golden Castle Stromberg for a lot of our plays, so at least having another search with the extra deck at expense, which it's not really a main part of the deck to begin with, this card can definitely help. And also 1 copy of Terraforming, 1 Triple Tactics Talent, and 1 copy of Call by the Grave to finish off the spell lineup. For the traps, just the 3 additional copies of Infinite Impermanence. I just wanted another way to stop any of our opponent's monster effects that may try and go around the Golden Castle Stromberg. Cards like Nightmare Unicorn that can shuffle the card back and then ruin the entire play of the deck. As for the extra deck, it's a pretty generic lineup, just the 1 copy of Barricade Board Blocker, Underclock Taker, Nightmare Cerberus, 2 IP Masqueranas because we do have the banish cost for Prosperity, the 1 SP Little Knight, and for the higher link monsters, Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos, Apollosa, and Access Code Talker. And since we do have some plays with Iron Hans and Iron Knight, the 1 copy of Exciton Knight, Tornado Dragon, Gagaga Cowboy, Baguska, Abyss Dweller, and also Zeus for the Xyz monsters that we could potentially go into as well. And then as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, Stromberg sets up every play in this deck. Don't have to explain that much. So searching it out, whether it be with cards like your Glyph or Terraforming or Prosperity, all give you access to the card, because then once it's activated on the field, you have a barrier against your opponent's attacks, but also the setup that you may need, which the main play to start off is the Princessin play, because then when this card is summoned, you can special summon out your Pumpkin Carriage, then equip on to your Princessin the Glass Slippers. If you went second, you have the attack directly play, since the Princess Pumpkin Carriage set up the attack directly for 1,300 with your Princessin, and then you can equip the Glass Slippers onto your opponent's monster, meaning it so they now have a monster that cannot attack. And even if they were able to attack, they wouldn't want to, because then Golden Castle Stromberg would destroy their monster. And then the following turn, you'll banish the top 10 cards of your deck, and then from there, keep the Golden Castle Stromberg on the field, which then from there you could either go with another special summon play. You'd have have a Spell and Trap Destruction play, or if you wanted to go for the Hextrude, a double attack play, you have all of this set up as well as getting around your opponent's monsters, which when the Glass Slippers leave the field, you can then re-equip onto Princessin again to go for another direct attack. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, just a quick update to the Fairy Tale deck. It's been a good year since the last update, and we haven't got any support for it, but just still like to keep the numbers and what I've made changes to the deck up to date for you all as well. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.